Hi everybody, it's Matt again in the shop. Welcome back. Today we're going to look at turning a bowl on the lathe out of this gnarly old piece of apple tree which was cut down about a year ago. Let's get started. So the first thing we need to do with our gnarly bit of wood is to work out where we're going to take the bowl from. Now I do this with a pair of dividers, so let's see. Now the one thing that you must check for is cracks. Can't see any cracks, but we'll see. We're going to cut it down a bit on the bandsaw first, and then, because there's no point in putting a piece this shape in the lathe if we don't have to. You can, believe it or not. It's really scary, but it's much better to take the sides down and this knob off the bottom on the bandsaw. So let's go do that. I've transferred the lines to the back so I can line it up on the bandsaw. No, I'm not going to cut through my marks. Oh, it smells amazing. Right, now for the knobby bit. How am I going to do this? I've decided I'm going to take the knobby bit off on the lathe. Why not? Feeling brave today. I'm going to use a faceplate for this. This is a dovetailed faceplate for the lathe. This will allow me to screw it on, those of you that don't know anything about this stuff, and hold it nice and firmly in the lathe on one end only, so I can then work on the other side. Now I have a scroll chuck here, lovely thing from Axminster Tools. And you just stick it on there and expand the jaws, and then it grabs hold of the faceplate, which is obviously made for it. If you're wondering what this is to try and make some attempts at catching the chips. And it's painted black, so then when I need to look at the profile of this, I'm looking at it against a black background. It makes things a little bit easier. I'm going to change this over to the big daddy one, because then I can angle it around a bit better. If you rotate it in the wrong direction when you're setting up your rest, it'll push it out of the way to exactly the right point. And then you know when it goes this way, it's not going to hit it. Now, I'm just going to give my chisel a sharpen. There's lots of different versions of this around, because this is a fingernail grind, and it's a 40/40 grind, by the way, for those of you that want to know what that is. It's a much easier way of holding these in place, so then you can grind the nail. So on the CBM wheel, when you're doing a big out of balance piece like this, it's important to start off really slowly. And I will always wear one of these. It really helps if you can see out of it though, that's the only thing. thing is to take all this very slow. It's not a rush or a race. So I'm using a 1/2 inch bowl gouge. Now, quite often I don't have any idea what shape this is going to be until we start getting through it. That's one of the lovely things about this, is that I kind of always feel that there's something hidden in the bit of wood, but we never know really what it is. Going. I don't think it's going to be very big, but it doesn't matter. Size apparently is not everything, which is what I keep getting told. if you can see a gap down here, it's not going to hold it. Well, it might, but you don't want to mic when it's on this. So now I can just take the faceplate off, which I'll do quickly off camera. Right, so we're back in the chuck. Now we're going to just spin it up a bit for a minute to make sure it's in. So, right. So now we can start working on the face. My favourite little thing. So we can line it up on there. We don't want to go through the bottom. And we can then use this. Right, we're all the way in. So now we need to do some scraping. Now I'm hoping I'm not going to go through the bottom of this, but we're very close. Let's see. There's a knot right in the bottom. And crap. I think I might glue this one. So here we go. I'm not going to go any further than that because it's going to go through. Let's just clean up the middle bit a tiny bit. Okay. So now we just need to do some sanding. The inside. Let's do the outside first. Now, I'm only a beginner at this wood turning business, believe it or not. So I don't get particularly smooth radiuses on things. So I have to kind of sand my way to a good finish. But not that much, hopefully. So this tree, there's a story behind this tree. My sister-in-law, Sam, ate an apple when she was a kid. And she planted the seed, and this is part of the tree that grew. And last year or 2 years ago, or I can't remember how long it's been since, we had to cut the tree down because it had quite a lot of canker in it. This is part of it, so it's a lovely story because the tree actually was grown by my family, well, married into family. So this is going to be a present for my in-laws, and I've got 3 other bits of this tree which hopefully, if I don't blow them up, I can make into bowls for the others as well. If you think it's fun to watch, tell me in the video. I know there's loads of wood turning videos around and all this stuff, but I thought this one was a bit special because it was actually to do with somebody's apple that they put in the ground, which I think is a beautiful story. So to make something out of it that then to make something out of it that might last forever is an amazing privilege. So we'll see, how are we doing? It's not too bad. It's too small to get the bowl sander into, unfortunately. It's the end grain where it's just so hard to cut it cleanly. You're never going to sand it, but I might get some of it out. If you like this video, please hit the like button and leave me a comment, because I'm new to this YouTube business and I'd really like to know what you like to watch, because I love to do this. This is how I relax, and if you like to watch this, then all the better. We'll do some more of it and try and get some interesting pieces of lumber or tree involved. Right, I think that's pretty good. What's this? 400. This is 0000 wire wool. The wood is just beautiful. God, I'm singing. Now for my favourite bit. This is cellulose sanding sealer, which is 50-50 with, no it's not, it's 60-40 with cellulose thinners. And what this does is it just bonds the surface fibres together, which means that you can put stuff in it and it won't suck in the moisture. Now it might still warp because I really don't know how dry it is. It's been sat down for well over a year, so it might be okay. As well. Now the other not so secret sauce is good old beeswax. Always amazing stuff. Now, does it come out of a bee's butt? I'm not really sure. Maybe it does. Nothing like a bit of wood turning on a Friday evening. Yeah, look at that. That's beautiful, isn't it? Now I'll wax the outside when I've taken the tenon off, because I might need to do a bit more sanding on there, I think. I've just resanded the outside, but I forgot to switch the camera on. But you kind of get the idea. Now you can see, because it's got a wobble on it, that it's warped a little bit already, which is not unusual. It shouldn't hopefully crack. Turn the dust extraction off so you can hear me. I'm only going to do the top piece. Wood only really cracks when it dries out unevenly. So if you can make it the same thickness and the same density, which is the hard thing, then it'll dry out more evenly and it won't crack. But it might warp, but that's just the way it is. And actually it gives it a nice character because it's almost like it's still alive, which I really like the idea of. Alright, isn't that amazing? It's absolutely stunning piece of wood. Isn't nature amazing? Right, I shall take it out and swap the jaws over, which I won't subject you to because it takes a while and it's very boring. Okay, there we are. So now we just need to take the tenon off the bottom. put a bit of glue in there, bit of CA glue in there, because that'll hopefully stabilise it. Some activator. I know it's only the bottom, but to me that's not the point. These things are so clever. No motor in these, it just uses the rotation of the bowl. But you've got to learn where to put it on the bowl to get it spinning, and then it does the work for you. It's very smart. It's not too bad. Bit of 400 again. Always leave a dish shape in the bottom of the bowl, because otherwise, or any piece you're making a bottom for that's round, because if you don't and it's uneven, it will wobble when you put it down. Whereas if you've got a dish in there, a concave bit, it will level itself. Isn't it weird how the middle of that knot has ended up exactly in the right place? You have to be careful on speed with these jaws, because it's not a very heavy piece, but I really don't want it leaving the jaws because I quite like it, because it's a very special piece of wood. It needs a bit of care. That's not too bad. Right, now I'm going to sign it, because there we go. Some of this stuff on. Cellulose sealer again. Oh, I love it. The moment when it hits the wood is just beautiful, isn't it? Right, it's really slow now. It's amazing how light these things are when you've done them. I mean, I'm not, as I said, I only started doing this maybe 3.5 months ago. This is probably the, I don't know, 8th bowl I've ever done. So I'm not very good at getting them thin and getting all the nice finish straight off the tool, but I'm getting there. I just find it incredibly enjoyable and therapeutic. I'm not very good at making things beautiful. I'm not very good at making things beautiful, but it's very easy to make something beautiful when nature's done most of the work for you. I haven't done this as more of an instructional video because there are loads of them about how to do wood turning, and I'm never going to be as good as they are. I don't consider myself good enough to be able to teach you how to do it, but I do think it's nice to watch. Remember what this was like, gnarly old piece of wood. It's really a nice thing now. There we go. That is that. Let's just clean up the edge where the jaws were. There's a little nick in there from a knot, but I'm going to leave it. It's character. Yeah, a nice little bowl turned out of a piece of apple that a little girl planted, what, 35 years ago, grew into a lovely tree, and this is a piece of it. It's a lovely thing. So here we are at the end. We started off with a piece that looked like this, and now we've got a piece that looks like this. Very satisfying. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please hit the like button and the subscribe button and tick the bell, and then you'll be able to see when the new things come up online. I've really enjoyed doing this. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Please leave me a comment and tell me how you